a piano player called Tom Selznick, who's kind of a master pianist, who had been, prior to the event in the film, he'd been sort of on an extended break from playing piano because of stage fright. For about five years he's been away from playing. And so this is his sort of return to the stage, and as soon as he starts to play, he realizes that he's being held at gunpoint by an unknown assailant in the audience, and that he has to play perfectly or he'll be killed, and his wife is threatened. So it sets forth this this very intense kind of Hitchcockian thriller that plays out mostly in real time during the concert.
Fantastic Fest 2013. We are here with the Mad Geniuses behind Grand Piano. This is one of the movies that's getting some of the biggest buzz at the festival, and it's been picked up, so that's really exciting as well.
Super happy with that.
Yeah, so now you could just probably relax a little bit more than a regular screening, right?
I suppose, yeah.
The thing is that I love Fantastic Fest, and this is my third time with the movie, so I feel no pressure really. I really come here to show something and share it with the people that we made it, and it's a sense of family thing.
Well, and it was a sense of joy because we knew that we'd made something very specific that had its own identity, and you put it out there, and you don't know if it's going to find a home in the hearts of the audience, and it did so clearly and so thoroughly that we all sort of walked out going, wow, awesome, that's great.
Yeah.
It was surprising. I mean, we have a love for the film and the language that the film utilizes, and it's very unique, and there aren't movies made like this anymore. So it was that sense of being incredibly surprised that people seemed to latch on to the things that we loved about the movie so much so quickly. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and two of the names that keep getting thrown around for this are Hitchcock and Argento, so you're pretty good company right there. Which is great, and it's so I mean those had to have been monster influences on this.
Well, the thing, to be honest, I said that the script itself was already, I mean, very, very clear about its Hitchcockian nature. The Argento thing, I have to say that Argento is not. I mean, I understand why. It has to do with the crazy visual part of it. But to me, the source it was most probably the influence in Argento from silent movies, expressionism, like Fritz Lang or Dr. Caligari, and that kind of, that everything is possible. You can have a close-up of a cockroach and then go to 3,000 people watching a guy playing a piano. I like to mention that because it's true that Hitchcock, part of the reason why he's so effective is because he's a true sequential artist. He conceives one shot after another, and I, of course, I concur with that way of doing things, thanks to Spielberg. I mean, Spielberg is the one who really took the torch. I mean, because Brian De Palma is very specific and very comfortable about playing with the Hitchcock universe and doing his own stuff. But Spielberg is stealing from the past. It's like John Ford or Robert Wise, Hitchcock. But at the end of the day, it's a guy that builds a set pieces that is one shot at a time. And when I was a kid, for some reason, that always popped up in me. And whenever the script is like, oh my God, I'm going to have the chance. Nobody's going to look at me like, what is this guy saying? Because it's going to be justified to go into this incredibly detailed definition and design.
Well, you started as a sequential artist, right? You used to draw comics and you
but I was
a sense of space and from doing that.
The timing, the cadence. I think that sequential art is basically, you cannot put a wall here on what is musical, what is like panels from left to right, and what is movement and the semantic value of a cut. That is something that oh my God, I'm so against the editing nowadays that there's no value. You see the cuts and they mean nothing. I mean, there's no reason why you're still watching a face saying something.
Yeah.
And let's say that I'm very, very, very keen on getting back to the value of why you're cutting and why you're staying. That's this switch thing I made reference before about creating tension.
What does the cut itself actually say?
Yeah.
And what is it achieving, and how is it moving things
forward? But as I said, the script was so clearly that want to go that way, that even if I make, I don't know, a drama in the middle of Albuquerque, I will go that way too. But this one is so nobody can say, why is he, drawing everything and being so, no, we don't need that. That's going to be another shot. It was very, very liberating. So that this was the right moment. I mean, the right project to do what we've done.
Sure. And what an interesting idea too. The script must have really kind of drawn you in. I mean, it's musicians put enough pressure on themselves, and that on top of it,
Fair enough.
pretty intense. So I mean, and you have to understand that as well too. Just sort of being under the gun and all eyes, all lights on you. So there must have been some sort of connect there as well.
Yeah, I suppose. I think the thing I connected to was, the fact that a good portion of the film takes place in real time. I was really intrigued by that. And the idea that I would have to jump into this world of piano, that challenge was really exciting to me. Petrifying, but exciting. And I was so excited to work with Eugenio. We'd met at Fantastic Fest 3 years ago. So he had a chance to work with a fellow Fantastic Fest friend. And also understanding what his vision for what was on page and then where he was going to take it was extremely exciting to me. And I think, he asked if I played piano, and I said that I had taken lessons when I was a kid, and I quit and I hadn't kept it up. And I think he thought that I could play more than I can. Because I feel like you would tell other people, like, oh, he used to play. And I'm like, no. I didn't used to play. I took lessons. But I was so excited to have. It's rare that you, as an actor, you get to jump into a craft that is not your own. So it's always something that you attack with glee. Those kinds of challenges,
But I have to say, Eugenio's confidence in us buoyed us when we were like, no, this isn't happening. It's like I love to tell that I was like, before I showed up, I was like, you do know that I don't know how to do this at all. And he was like, you'll be fine. We'll bring you in a week early and you'll learn how to conduct. I was like, I'm gonna learn how to conduct in a week. That's awesome.
It's like magic.
And he knew it in his heart. And I was like, okay, I'm borrowing all of that strength I can possibly get.
What can I learn how to do in a week then? This is amazing.
It's been honestly a combination, of course, the energy that both of them certainly put on the thing, and the fact that I think that they knew that I never was going to ask them to do something that it wasn't part of what we established. But then there was a reaction to that. Once,
that's not entirely a true statement, what he just said.
That was the original plan, but then when we saw that this guy was in and out.
So you reacted to that. And
I said like,
it was organic.
It was like, let him play. It was like,
because the important thing to recognize is that both Al and I had very specific moments where we knew we were going to be on camera with either conducting or playing piano. So this was predetermined, and it made our jobs easier because instead of having to focus on a piece of music in its entirety, we could focus on these little individual pieces, sometimes only 2 bars at a time, depending on the piece. So there's a sense of comfort with that when you have a roadmap that you can look to and know that you don't have the sort of insurmountable challenge of trying to learn whole pieces of music. That being the case,
here's the hook.
We would get a call sheet for each of our days of work while we were shooting the music. It was about 3 weeks of shooting all the music stuff, and on that call sheet, as is typical on a normal call sheet, you have a scene, scene number. And so on and so forth. And you shoot that scene from right angles. This is not the case at all with us. It was literally shots per day. And then they would pertain to the piece of music that, like the bars of the music would also be in reference.
Right, bar 92 to 95, yeah.
Precisely, all in the call sheet, which was very helpful. However, by like day 3 or 4, that started to the specificity of the bars that we were supposed to be playing started to stretch ever so slightly, and then stretch even more. And there were shots. I mean, you carried on conducting at one particular.
Well, that's because I'm an actor, and I'm programmed that if I don't hear cut, keep doing it.
Right.
So like, I mean, there was a big support structure there, and like so one day. That there's a music playing and a click track playing, sort of metronome track, to keep us all together, and the orchestra's playing. So I was doing this, and the music sound went out, the click track went out, and I would expect to hear cut, and I didn't hear cut. So I kept conducting the piece, and the orchestra kept playing with me, and I was like, oh my, okay, I guess we're doing this now, all right? And I saw Elijah sort of get up from behind his piano, sort of come down, and Eugenio come up over the back of the stage going,
And we're watching him literally conduct.
yeah, and they were looking at me going, what are you doing? And I was like, you didn't say to stop! And so it was
Incredible.
to get like 60 people working with you, collaborating like that, I now completely understand why conductors do this. The first time you throw a cue to someone and that musician makes that right sound and you're reaching out, to have that kind of intimate conversation with that many people is, I mean, just like the hairs go up on the back of your neck. It's thrilling.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a great memory from the set. And I think everyone has a great memory that'll always stick with you. So a couple of years from now, when people are asking you about this film, what do you suppose will pop in your mind? Is there a certain day or scene or time?
Oh my God, it's an embarrassment of riches.
It is, absolutely.
It truly is.
It's complicated.
It is complicated, actually, to try and articulate.
Because it's a very specific
quantify.
project, I have to say. It's not only that we had the time of our life, that it's been really intense and beautiful. And it's true that because of the kind of the procedure, as you said, that we have, it's not only the celebration of one tough day and we made it, it was shot by shot. After one shot, it was like, we made this piece that's going to be in the movie, and there's not going to be nothing in the middle. This minute and 35 seconds, it's part of the movie forever. And it was like, and it was a motive to
Every single day.
every single day. So, you know, we were naming the shots. It's, oh, this is the Wayne shot. Oh, this is
Right.
going to be the Money shot. Oh, this is going to be the Martini shot. We put all these names to stuff, and we knew that they were coming and that we were, you know, accomplishing all these assignments. So we put the level of reward, the feeling that you're doing something of achievement, it was so,
And then on top of that,
yeah.
our script supervisor, Ade,
Oh my God.
she was the gatekeeper to
Yeah.
success.
Totally.
She had a stamp, and a stamp on this.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent dude.
Excellent.
Dude, that's what it was, yes.
Yeah.
Which was a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure reference.
Alex Winter, we had his blessing, so it's all good.
we would move on, but only ever so often would she put excellent dude on a particular shot. So like we would.
And
all
you would be allowed to stamp it if it was Elijah's shot. It's like, okay, Elijah, you get to stamp the book. It's
That's
She
the
was
exciting
rough,
thing
too.
because there would be many shots that we'd finish that were great shots.
Yeah.
That were not deserving in her mind of excellent dudes. So she was the gatekeeper of
Totally,
true excellence, always.
And I have to say, the first week when I was studying with my coach, and Elijah had already started shooting with John, it's because John was there for the first week, so all of that between the two of them happened in the first week of shooting. And Eugenio called me and was like, "You got to see the fight scene." And I came in and I watched like 10 takes of shots of what you'd done, and I was stunned by his physical commitment, how he nailed things over and over and over again, how he sold these fight moves. I was like, he's a dancer. How do you do that? He was like, I was so impressed by your physical capacity. I was like, I gotta step up. This guy's good.
I was trying to find a moment that it was like something, and it took me totally off guard. There's an embarrassing thing to me, but it's my third time my fourth Fantastic Fest. One I attended with no movie at all in 2011, the second time that we met. But it happens that my birthday happens along the days. Yesterday was my birthday. I turned 36. But last year we were shooting, and my birthday was coming, and it was like, I knew that people were gonna know. I don't have a Facebook page, it's not easy to find, but people, and the most beautiful thing happened. It's a really, mind-blowing thing. We were shooting something, oh no, we're gonna take something, The moment I noticed that something's going on, the whole orchestra started to play a medley,
It was a medley.
a medley of
John Williams.
John Williams.
Yeah.
And oh my God! And the cameras were rolling. We got on 35 millimeters.
I've never seen the footage.
We got the footage. It's fucking amazing. It's too much. That's that kind of thing. It was like and it was like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. Oh my God.
Wow.
And my coach, Tobias, had written
as
out
well.
all the sheet music, and this like 60-person orchestra was playing all the parts. But it was
And they were
amazing.
practicing.
Yeah, that was a Herculean effort, actually.
Yes,
they
it
had
was.
to take the transfer and transfer to the musicians that we had in
Yeah.
our stable. So it was totally had to rewrite it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They practiced
Amazing.
while we were eating.
Weeks of
That's kind of
practice,
crazy.
yeah.
While we went to eat, they were practicing. They
Yeah.
did it just for the hell of it. I mean, they were having a good time. So that's a good example of,
That's great.
yeah.
Well, the show is the Drew Pearson Show, and Drew, American football player, famously called the Hail Mary catch. And whether you know that or not, the Hail Mary is kind of a pop culture term. It's kind of you
Sure.
just kind of have to go for it, and somehow it didn't look like it was going to work out, but it did. What do you suppose that moment was in your life or in your career?
Whoa, that's a huge question.
That is a
Wow.
huge question. The Hail Mary, the fuck it.
The fucking moment.
Oh, okay. I can say for me, it's early on.
Let's go for that.
I graduated. I entered school in physics, and and after I got out of college, there was I got offered, and I also studied comparative literature, and I got offered a job at a law firm as a patent specialist. And 1 week, I was offered a free ride through law school by this law firm that I was with, and if I would give them three years afterwards. The same week, I was offered an apprenticeship at the Old Globe Theater for $100 a week, and I took the job at the theater.
Wow.
And my parents freaked. They thought I was an idiot. They were like you got a degree? What's wrong with you? And it took them a while, but they.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've got anything better than that.
Oh, well, to me it was like my first short film with Faith in the year 2000, because it was like I know that this can sound ridiculous, but as I said, I didn't write myself. I felt that it was a vocational director since I don't know, 7, 8, 9, whatever that I wanted to. I was all about how movies are made, and everything started with Superman. Richard Donner's movie. That is a generational thing. Everybody can talk about it, but to me, and then I thought about that. It's like, wait a second. What's Superman? How I know about Superman? I was born in a world where Superman really existed. It's like King Kong. I don't remember the moment that. It's like even when you see the movie, it's like that you already know that there's a giant ape, in the Empire State Building, and that you're watching the movie about that thing. It was a strange feeling. It was like saying, what is all this about? Ideas, concepts, pop culture. And it felt so strange because the Superman I knew. That's the thing. I fell in love with the movie, but I fell in love with the fact that that was made by people. That there was a way of making a living, making you believe that guy could fly.
That is so great.
So I had an equal kind of disassociated comportamentalist, since I'm a kid, that I was equally a victim of the spell, and at the same time, the point of view of the magician that wants to know how the trick is done. And I compare cinema to illusionism. It doesn't matter how corny that sounds. I mean, it's true. I saw the movie and I started to see the cutting, and I noticed that there were different textures. Being 7 years old, when I watched it in black and white TV set with my parents in my pajamas, being 7 years old,
Right.
in Spain, dubbed in Spanish, and I remember the music. New York City in black and white. It was like Manhattan, Woody Allen's Manhattan. So it's Superman in black and white. That's fucking amazing.
That is amazing.
And I remember that the second time that I saw it, I started to notice that, wait a second, there's no way. Where's that? Why is changing the texture? The retro projection, the screen thing. I sort of got that I noticed.
That's awesome.
I felt my sister were like that too. I mean, we were good at catching the texture of it, and that it was like rotoscope, and that's different. And how did they do this? It has to be cables or something.
Right.
Maybe they're super thin. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something they do with the light or something. Yeah, so that's the beginning of it.
That's
How was that? And then thanks to Spielberg and Lucas, that I have to say that, wow, if I met this guy, he's not a fan. I'm not a geek. I always said, I started working so soon that I've never been a geek. I never been like a collector.
Right.
I never been into I love this author, I want to see everything. No. It's more about, I like this one, I don't like that one. I like the guy, not his movies. And I love George Lucas and Spielberg more because of them and what they did than the movies themselves. It's a very strange things to say.
Makes
The
sense.
moment that
It's
I
a
read,
personal commitment.
the moment that I realized that that was the turning point, and it didn't matter. I made a short film with when I was 15 years old with a friend of mine walking through a train track on video. I had to show you that,
Yeah.
and I felt like, oh, this is it. If you write it down and you go to the place, you take the pieces, you get back, you put it in order. I mean, it was figuring out how movies were done. It was reverse engineering. That's when I realized that reverse engineering was the way to go. There's no difference. And then the first short film was Fade. It was 35 millimeters anamorphic lenses. Like going, like, what am I doing? I'm a Spanish kid who's shooting in I'm using. I went into a loan. My parents were the albino, the guys that they made sure the bank that if I cannot pay it, and that was amazing. I mean, the turning point is understanding, summarizing that you can reverse engineer something because you got.
I just love that as a 7-year-old kid you were going, okay, it's wires and
Yeah.
But some people say,
Reprojection.
maybe you directors cannot enjoy movies anymore because you know how it's done. That's never been a
That's
problem.
not true. It's not true.
Even that, thank God.
Because there's still mystery. You still don't understand.
And I've been able to enjoy movies that are not good just because to figure out what the fuck went wrong. Sorry for just all these days with so many big dudes and big kids. I don't want to curse. Sorry.
And you just went for it and it worked
Yeah,
out.
no, but it's all like it's in the back of my head. Sorry. What about you, my friend?
Oh man.
It's so hard to follow these, right?
No, I'm not following that. That's beautiful. I love you very much.
I can answer for him. He started very, very, very soon.
Yeah.
He started very soon.
Yeah.
So that's it. I mean,
Yeah, in terms of that like moment, I didn't have that because I started so young. It was really different for me. Really different for me. But it's tough. I mean, to talk about that Hail Mary moment. I mean, those are such great stories. I don't know if I have anything that compares. I mean, I sort of feel like, for me, that I think about that and I think about fear, and I think about fear being a great motivator, and I feel like I hopefully I'm attacking those moments on a monthly, yearly basis, because that's what pushes us forward. So I could probably reference a lot of those things in the last few years that were just like, fuck it, I want to do something that petrifies me.
Well, jumping into Sin City after the rings, that must have been a moment where you just said, I'm doing something, I'm going for this here.
And that was totally selfish. That was selfishly motivated. I was a fan of Sin City. I was a fan of Frank Miller. I love Robert, and that was just like, oh my god, I get to do this with yes, and it's gonna freak people out, and that's great, So I did stand up for the first time like a year ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's terrifying, isn't
the
it?
hell out of
That's
me.
horrible.
But the beautiful thing about doing things like that, though, either on a small scale or on a large scale, is it also makes you realize what you're capable of. Like suddenly, you have probably some sense of what the circumference that surrounds you, and then when you do something like that, suddenly that space gets larger and larger and larger, and you're like, oh fuck, I can.
confidence.
There's actually far more than I could ever imagine that I'm capable of doing, and I never would have done that,
Elijah, what was your opener?
Fuck it.
But no, with
my opener?
Yeah.
Oh, my opener.
Yes.
I have to pee.
That's
what I opened with. I took my time. I walked up. I was petrified. It was like jumping out of a plane, honestly.
That's awesome.
I walked up, grabbed the mic, unspooled it. So it took my time. So there was like silence, and then I said, I have to pee, fucking laughter. And I was like,
Awesome. That's awesome.
first laugh.
Yeah.
And then it was
Awesome.
off to the races. It was amazing. It was an incredible experience.
Well, I know we got to wrap up here. If I could just have you say one thing real quick for everybody that's not here, why Fantastic Fest is so special. Because it really is just an amazing place, and I want everybody to know from your perspective.
Because it's not driven by buying things, or it's not driven by the marketplace. It's driven by the fans and people who have a passion for film, and that's absolutely unique in any festival I've seen.
Yeah. To me, it's all about there's no line between film lovers and filmmakers, and because I like to think that a filmmaker is a film lover.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about people. I'm this kind of a Nazi with this. I cannot stand the idea of somebody working in the business not loving movies.
I
And
agree.
believe me,
Yeah.
It's
I
filled-
stumbled
it's
across
filled
a
with
couple of
people.
assholes that is like, what? Why do you do this? I mean, go to, I don't know, or for
Lehman Brothers,
Feel like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah, right?
So that's it. I mean, here, this reminds you, this place reminds you how important is that camaraderie between people that simply loves
Who loves
to
cinema.
be. And the Fantastic Fest thing is by far the most cosmopolitan when it comes to, and not restricted kind of a mindset that people is always celebrating to see something new and different and a different take on it. It's very open-minded people that is really open to embrace something that they never expected. That's very, very, very inspiring.
Totally, yeah. And the fact that it's at the Alamo Draft House, there's already there's a great sense of community surrounding the theater itself already. I have to echo what these guys are saying. I mean, it brings people together. I think I've never been to a film festival that has no divide between the filmmakers and the creators and the people who are attending the festival. It's extremely special to be able to see a film and walk up to the filmmaker immediately after and tell that person what you thought of their film, and share ideas and share getting drunk and doing karaoke and all these other things that are so wonderful as part of the festival as well. It truly is the greatest week of the year.
Yeah. And you love it so much you had to move to Austin, right?
I did. And for us, it's so great. You know, we had to miss the festival last year because we were filming. So to bring the film to this festival that we love so much, it's just, it's a real honor.
Not only move to Austin, but let the festival use his house as their headquarters.
I'm actually credited on the program as Slumlord.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us,
Thank
and
you.
congratulations on the
Cool.
film.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.